Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wist. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Matt Bowen. Before we talk about your career and then the show you composed called The Binge, tell me about your life under coronavirus.
Oh, yeah, we're getting started. Well, first of all, Michael, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Life with coronavirus has, well, there's a couple of ways to answer that. For a composer's point of view, our day-to-day, believe it or not, does not look all that different because we're usually in seclusion anyway. It's a pretty isolated career aside from our sessions that we have. So that's kind of been the biggest bummer is you work alone for quite some time and then you work towards the end, and there's this kind of awesome collaboration usually with whether it's with production or with session players, and those have all needed to be done remotely.
Damn it. So it's kind of changed and it kind of hasn't.
Yeah, I would say the day-to-day actually isn't all that different, but of course we're seeing it on a number of levels. We're seeing the effects, obviously. We're seeing the effects drastically in the industry in general. The way that we work is not altogether drastically different.
Okay. So tell me about the show you composed the music for called The Binge. Why my audience might like it.
The Binge, well, it's a movie and
oops, sorry.
No worries. Yeah, it's a feature-length movie by Hulu, and it's why they might like it. Well, I guess let me say what it is. It's funny, you come up with the quote-unquote elevator pitch of what the movie is about, and then it comes out, and then you see what the general public says about it. And so I've now shifted to the general public calls it The Purge, but with drugs.
Right.
They've really narrowed it down, and I think it's actually much more succinct than anything we ever said before it was released. So that's how the general public describes it, and I don't disagree with them. And it's just, why might your audience like it? Is it's just a release? It's not a timely piece that's going to make you think about some of the less than desirable things happening right now. It's just a flat out release. And so for that hour and a half, hopefully you just get to enjoy yourself and laugh.
Okay. And it's got double V.
Yes, it does. And yes, it's, I think one of the first renditions of this script had that role as very much a supporting role, and then once they realized that he was on, needless to say, they expanded it, and rightfully so, because he's just really, it's been my first time ever being on a project that he's been involved with, and so being able to see him do his thing, he's very impressive.
He's very charismatic, and he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's very charismatic, very nice. The cast, I think the cast had a bit of a hard time with, they had the first reaction of being starstruck,
right?
And then you have the follow-up reaction of like, oh wow, this guy's a star, because he is really good.
Yeah.
So but you have somebody like that on the team just kind of elevates everybody's game.
Yes, I met him on the red carpet for Brawl in Cell Block 99 and was totally charmed.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see that movie?
I did not. No.
It's a great double V flick. So let's get back to you. Do you compose off a computer and a keyboard primarily?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely computer, as in, I'm playing into my workstation. I'd say it's about 50-50 whether the original spark is coming from the keyboard or whether it's coming from some sort of live acoustic instrument. Of course, it depends on whatever that thing I'm composing for calls for.
Okay. And do you have a bunch of fun knickknacks to make sounds off of?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've got kind of got the proverbial wall of guitars.
Nice.
And yeah, I grew up playing acoustic instruments first and then picked up piano much later. So that's what's more familiar to me. And I also just like, as much as possible, I like to work with just recorded audio at least first and then supplement with samples. You know, I feel like when you're starting off with samples, it's a little harder to get that inspired idea.
Mm.
But you know, sometimes it's what it calls for. If it's a piano based score, or you know, if a woodwind based score, woodwinds are not something that I play. So I am going to be sitting at the keyboard on those.
So, do you have a cool like LA studio, and do you have other people working with you that come and jam all the time?
I mean, of course, it's a cool LA studio. Come on, man. No. Yeah, I have my own I have my own workspace, and it's that very much suits my needs. And most of the time, if I'm working with other people, I go into a bigger studio to do that sort of tracking.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty common in our line of work, where you have your workspace that isn't too big. It's just fits your needs, and most importantly allows you to work fast. I mean, that's what it all comes down to, is being able to work fast while still feeling inspired. So yeah, and when it comes to working with other people, and of course this goes back to your COVID question that isn't happening at the moment, but
Right.
go into a studio with a bigger tracking room, or you know, kind of the more traditional tracking room, listening room sort of situation. That does happen, but it's usually very small pockets of a much longer project.
All right. And which neighborhood in Los Angeles is the studio in?
I'm in Culver City, which is,
Okay, that's amazing. Because
yes.
I actually have been to a music studio in Culver City.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Whereabouts?
it was Christopher Yunn's.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
I was staying with
Yeah.
him last year. Funny enough, he comes
Oh
to
man.
Canada sometimes, so I got
Yeah.
to see them score Pet Cemetery.
No. Where did that go down on the Sony stage?
It was just like a hole in the wall in Culver City.
Oh, that was actually, I mean, that wasn't like the orchestral session was at the hole in the wall?
It was not an orchestral session. It was just
Oh, okay.
people on keyboards and computers and
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it.
doing it like that. It was like Christopher Yunn's. That's his spot.
Yes. Yeah.
But that just blows my mind. I could not be. I love that was in Culver City. You're working in Culver City.
Yeah. No,
Hilarious.
yeah, what you described is very, very common, where you kind of have your grand central station and then you have rooms attached for your team. I sadly, I've got one room attached for my assistant that I've been working with for quite some time. And I say sadly because I no longer, he's working remotely. We're still working
Right.
together, but it's
Noted. Well, Culver City's kind of fun.
yeah, it's a great place. Well, without getting too far off of the
Sure.
career part, but we moved here mostly for we had kids and moved here for that reason, with the schools and whatnot. And I only bring that up because I kind of had no idea what I was getting into, and it turns out that once we moved here, it was post-production haven. Everybody is an editor or a composer, or you know, you live in some parts of the state or the country or the world, and you say, what are you? And you say, oh, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor. And they say, oh, cool. And then, or if you say I'm a composer, they say, what? And when you live around here and you say you're a composer, they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
And
right,
if you say you're a teacher or a doctor, they're like, whoa, cool.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we love living here, and it's, you know, LA is so sprawling that Culver City actually, it feels like it's a fairly centralized place, where it makes LA feel a little less sprawling.
LA is the greatest city in the world.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. So you come here often?
I was there for a week.
Okay.
I have that opinion that it is the greatest city in the world. I was there for a week. That's all I need to know. That's all the time I need to know that it is the greatest place in the world.
I love it. Well, the LA travel bureau. Thanks us for our message.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So, what are some important things for composers to keep in mind when they score comedy?
Oh, that's a great question. Comedy specifically is, boy, number one, I would say is to not overdo it, and that's a
Yeah.
line that we're constantly walking.
Mm.
Um, Something that helps not overdo it is something that I learned. I've collaborated and worked under Chris Leonard's for a long time, and he's done. I've worked on a number of comedies with him, and I think the biggest thing I learned comedically is that uh, when music actually helps sell the comedy, it's because they're taking themselves completely seriously. Actually,
Mm.
um,
Huh,
if
that's
you take
interesting.
if you take that scene seriously, it helps sell the ridiculousness of it, and that actually um, that couldn't be more true in the binge with that section that when I referred to when I made a hard right hand turn and I went 100% kind of orchestral and classical.
Oh, wow.
It was to juxtapose. Again, I'm trying to not spoil too much here, but
Right. The
that
craziness.
there was just a ridiculous event. Like what's happening on screen is utterly ridiculous,
Right.
but in my mind, I'm treating it like it was. I had kind of come up with this concept of it. It was a mashup of Rudy and The Natural and Rocky. Is kind of like that sort of emotional world that I was living in with the score.
Well,
Um,
cool.
so
So I think of when I think of composers, I don't think of comedic ones. Like maybe it's like Ennio Morricone or Bernard Herrmann. Those guys don't really make funny movies, or didn't score funny movies. Who are some film composers who do comedy really well? Go.
and I absolutely need to start with Chris because he's been one of my main mentors while at this profession.
Uh-huh.
Not that Chris, I'm talking about Chris Leonard. It's not that
Right.
he doesn't only do comedy, but he
Mm-hmm.
but he does it and he does it well.
Mm.
Um, Somebody who doesn't do a ton of comedy anymore, but boy, did it well. Teddy Shapiro. Um,
Okay.
Gosh, he's done. Um, you know, I think Teddy Shapiro is probably my next name. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So, do you do you think it's more important to be intense or on top of things but relaxed when working in Hollywood?
Well, I would say in privately intense
Right.
and publicly relaxed because
That's good advice.
what we do is you got to churn get and we're always up against deadlines.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a collaboration.
Mm,
This isn't our movie, this isn't our vision,
hmm.
it's the writer's the writer's vision, the director's vision, and so you want to be as good a team member as possible is what it comes down to. From a you know interactive standpoint, I think just more listening and less talking is always a good thing.
Hmm.
That's when you can really get to the heart of what they're really looking for from the score, and oftentimes they're not using technical musical terms, they're talking in terms of emotion, which is great. That's what we would prefer, because that's at the heart of the matter, I guess, pun
Hmm.
intended.
Okay. But when you're just chilling out, work's done for the day. Would you rather watch a movie or listen to music?
um that's a great question. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I guess the answer would be listen to music,
Mm.
and it would be in a genre that I am not working in whatsoever, so that so that my mind doesn't start thinking like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe that was cool, maybe I could tie that in or whatever. Something that I haven't heard for a long time. That's just gonna let my mind drift off.
All right.
But
That makes sense. That's a good way to relax if you're
movies,
not comparing things all the time.
yeah. I think if it's too close, then you're thinking about it, and then you're actually not off work.
Mm. That's true. You're not wrong. All right, Matt, thank you very much for your time. Any final thoughts to end this interview with?
Any final thoughts? No, I mean, I hope that your viewers enjoy themselves and enjoy the trip. I guess pun intended there. But thanks for having me, Michael. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. All the best.
Great. Thanks to you.